Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dan Hussey with AlgoDayTrader.com, bringing you our NYSE session recap. And what a slow NYSE session it was today, August 14th, 2012. The second Europe closed up once again, the market simply just stopped. So starting with our S&P 500, there are currently two. Let's remove these so we can take a look at them. There are currently two extension longs holding the market up. The first was our original 82 evens to highs that traded to its target. Same anchor, new high. Brings this extension in at a 95 half. The other extension long is drawn from an 87 75 high. I believe that was the high. It was an 87 half high. Excuse me. To highs. It traded for the first time on this first new high here at the 104 high that was made yesterday. It held, traded to its target. Same anchor, new highs, actually traded and held into the close today. And it got quite a reaction off it as well. So we are very much still in longs until they fail. And there are two support levels that we'll be watching in the immediate future for moves up into the 14.14s and the 14.16s respectively. And those are at the 98 half, which already traded, and the 95 half. Below that, there are substantial support levels that come in. The first of which is actually a halfway back long drawn from your 94 or 49 lows to the 1409 highs, 09 half highs. And that comes in at a 79 half now. Okay? And then there is an even larger halfway back long that comes in drawn from the 1320 lows to highs that comes in at 1365s. So in terms of going into a bear move or downside market, we actually have pretty good support below us. We're up against the extension support, the immediate support that is currently taking us and has been taking us into new highs for the last week and a half or 2 weeks. And below that, we have our next traditionals, which would be perfectly natural to pull back into. And if we get some extensive volatility into the week's end, with options X this weekend or this Friday, these are the two major levels we'll be looking for this right now. I mean, they could subject to change if we go into new highs, but are those two halfway back longs? The euro dollar. Today we traded into the full halfway back long after breaking the counter trend short. We rallied up off of the 122.42 lows, which filled the 122.45 halfway back long that has a 25.30 target. After breaking the counter trend short, the market pulled directly back into a full long. And today we held above this level. Now, there very well may be a second test or even a dip into this overnight. So you're going to have to be vigilant with your stops. But there's nothing invalidated or wrong with this long. Sometimes the euro it's slow to start off of a level. Hanging out here, though, into London, you definitely want to be above this level into London. That's for certain. So, I mean, it doesn't make or break it, but it's valid until it fails, and it would be the next traditional in a new series of longs that could take us up off these lows. So a very important level in the short term. You can never rule out a second test of your larger long down at the 22.43s, but below the 123 handle, that's where we'd see the next support come in at the original long entry. The Aussie dollar. I want to take a step back, and we need to start looking at the longer time frame charts here, because we are very much inside sideways price action at highs. The original extension long drawn from a 103.47 high that traded once, twice to targets. This third time it traded down here in this new spike low actually has yet to fill its targets at the 106.35s. So we very much are still inside that long. We failed to hold a halfway back inside that extension and are simply now trading down into a second test of the 104.64 support level. We are in a short drawn from a 105.42, or the market's in a short from a 105.42 high to the 104.81 lows. Its downside target will fill this support level. So this is going to be important overnight in the Asia session to see how the Aussie dollar reacts to this level. Below us, support comes in at a 104, and below that, support exists actually no, 104. Below that, it is a full halfway back, which is a long way down at 101. So so very much, the Aussie, we'd like it to hold the 104.64s. We'll see if we get some intense volatility into this week's end. Certainly could see a 300 pip move down, no problem. The Aussie yen. The Aussie yen continues to have defending both now the 82.50s and before that these 82 quarters, the 82.25s. It's unfortunate because we actually did break the short against the Aussie yen, but also failed. And well, I guess it never really closed below, or never really had the ability to run below the 61.8 line, and it traded down into this original 82.50 support level. Below us, there is at the 82.15s the next full extension long. Okay? And the 82.50s represent a brand new extension. The extension long I'm referring to traded once to target, twice to target, and now a third time drawn from a 80.92 anchor high on 726 to highs. It's at an 82.15. And if I'm going to be entering the Aussie yen again, that's where I'm going to be doing it, is down in this support zone. It is the next extension long. So it's at this point it's very silly to think that it may not trade. The 80.23, 80.24 low that did trade already yesterday very well could have been a front run of that level, just a slightly more aggressive front run than we're used to. So we'll see what happens overnight in Asia. But there should be some Aussie support coming in. Unfortunately, it's almost untradeable. We have basically witnessed the Aussie dollar become less technical over the last 2 weeks, and the euro dollar becoming increasingly more technical. It's the exact opposite of what we saw going into the beginning of our summer. We actually had a very technical euro and a sloppy Aussie, and we saw them reverse that. The Aussie began to strengthen its technicality while the euro weakened and became sloppy itself. And so we switched over to trading the Aussie, and I believe we're starting to see the beginning of a switch back. It's almost like the algorithms are picking and choosing what assets to trade based on, they're ganging up on one or the other. And I believe, in my opinion, so far from what we're seeing, and if this trend continues, we're going to be switching into trading the euro more heavily than the Aussie, just like the opposite we did back in June. Come June 1, we started trading the Aussie almost exclusively. We didn't touch the euro for a long time, and for good reason. But now we have reason to trade the euro and to actually not touch the Aussie. So it's important to realize that that's kind of the transition I feel like we're going to be making here into the future. It's just, that's what we do. We recognize the trend and we go to the market that is the cleanest, the strongest, and the best to trade. There's a bajillion markets to trade out there. There's no reason to fall in love with one market or one trade. So with that being said, I'm not giving up on the Aussie altogether, but it certainly has lost the cleanliness it found at the beginning of the summer. The Aussie's actually been an incredible trade this whole summer. We took plenty of pips out of this market. So with that being said, have a great night, everybody. I'm probably going to be around for Asia tonight because there have been some moves into Asia and overnight. So I'll be around. I think we're going to start to see, heads up, we're going to start seeing volatility pick up into the end of this week. To me, volatility, and as it should be to you, equals opportunity. Okay, so we're going to be monitoring these markets closely. We know what the levels are, and we just need to be ready to strike when the market starts to move again. So we should potentially see the end of this week actually start the U.S. trading coming out of summer. This is usually when it begins up. It starts in August. It's slow to start. It'll pick up coming Options X, going into the next NFP, and we will see the U.S. session actually become a mover again and not just be an absolute sleeper. So, and then likewise, we might see Asia and Europe actually slow down as money starts to come back into the U.S. Session. So, have a great night, everybody, and we'll be back with you as price action develops.